Hi, we're back. This is part two for our homemaking conversation. Sorry about the kind of abrupt cutoff the last time. We ran out of time and we're just gonna continue where we left off. Yeah, did you have any more thoughts on liturgical homemaking and planning around the year?
Yeah, so I think just kind of another thing that I wanted to bring up was sort of just the importance of it, and thinking back to, before the changes and everything happened. I don't know, I guess because I didn't live in that time, but I like to think that this was kind of the norm of the way women did homemaking. Like you would know, okay, is today a feasting day or is today a fasting day? You would know, do I need to go get some extra flowers, or do I need to get rid of all of the flowers? Um, and I really think that that's a lost art of homemaking. And I think, especially as traditional Catholics, that's something that we really should foster, because it's by incorporating our faith into our homemaking that sets us apart from just, the regular homemakers. Because there is a push of secular homemakers,
Right.
that I'm seeing, which is, I mean, a pretty good thing. I'd
Mhm.
rather see that than the crazy modern stuff that's going on. But still, at the same time, we need to recognize our duties and our within our vocation. You know, you know.
Right. No, it's funny because I've totally noticed that it has become trendy for
Mm-hmm.
like homemaking, like bread making and homesteading and gardening. And it really
Absolutely.
is a good thing. And I wonder if some of that came from COVID when people were home and they're like, what
Mm-hmm.
do we do? And they actually put their time to good use and kind of went back to that, which is
Mm-hmm.
really great. But like you said, it's important to have that Catholic aspect. And for me too, it's really important to me, like when someone walks into my house, I want them to know without a doubt that I'm Catholic because that's
Mm-hmm.
my identity. Like that is
Right.
who I am. That is what my kids are, my husband. So I want them to really see that I care about that and that that's like part of who I am. So
Mm-hmm.
I think, like you said, it's really important to incorporate it into how you decorate and just your whole atmosphere should exude Catholic.
Absolutely, 100%. And I would even go so far as to say, the outside of your home can even
Mhm.
reflect that you're Catholic. So just two examples is having a Mary garden. If you own a home and have a little outdoor space, try to create like just a little grotto, just a little statue. It doesn't have to be anything crazy, or it could be big, depending on your area. But I think that's a really good way to kind of show your neighbors wherever you are that were Catholic. Another example that I have of showing kind of like the outside of your home, that you're Catholic, is this past Christmas, or this past Advent. We didn't put up any outdoor Christmas decorations until the week, like right the week before Christmas, like the week of Christmas. And I kept asking my husband, like, can we put the lights up? Can we put the lights up? Because I just love Christmas and I love
Right.
decorating and I just love that, the warmth. And he's like, no, it is Advent. We are not putting up the lights yet.
Right. Don't
And he's like,
celebrate the
but
birth
there's
until the birth.
right. He's like, because all of our neighbors have had them up since the day after Thanksgiving. He's like, they're going to take them down in a week or two, but we're keeping ours up until February. What
February
is it?
2nd.
February 2nd?
Yep. Yep,
Right.
absolutely. No, that's so
Right.
true. I think it's kind of a lost art because everything's
Mm-hmm.
so secular, and people
Right.
don't think about Christmas for what it is and other
Mm-hmm.
holidays too, Easter, all of the
Oh,
Catholic holidays. They're not Catholic, they're
yeah.
just secular and it's sad. But if you
Mm-hmm.
can bring that back, I think it's awesome. Like you can incorporate the actual Catholicism back into the feast, like how it used to
Mm-hmm.
be, because
Right.
that's how ideally we should be living.
Right. Exactly.
And
Yeah.
with that, I think this kind of goes right into the book we were kind of talking about.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure we've mentioned this before, maybe on the podcast, but it's worth
Mm-hmm.
repeating because, yeah, that book Around the Year with the Von Trapp family has been
Mm-hmm.
so life-changing for me. It's one of the best
Mm-hmm.
books I have ever read.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah, I've definitely heard it mentioned here before, but if you have not read it or seen this book, you should definitely pick it up. I haven't actually finished it, but whenever I pick it up, it is just it's it's so inspiring, and that's kind of like my goal of what I would
Right.
like my
Ideal.
homemaking to be. Where it really just every aspect of the day and your homemaking just breathes the faith.
Hmm.
Um, and that should be our goal.
Right, exactly. Well, and my parents did a really great job of this,
Mm-hmm.
making all your happy memories be Catholic. And I think
Mm-hmm.
that's something I'm trying to do with my kids. Every happy, fuzzy family memory they have is about the faith, about going to church and celebrating Our Lady of Guadalupe or putting up the nativity set or, all of
Mm-hmm.
these really great traditions are at the core very Catholic. And I think that that's
Mm-hmm.
just so good for kids because there's so many things that get in the way and worldly things that try and push you away from God, and just trying to narrow it in and say like these are the important things and just to focus on that. It's
Mm-hmm.
pretty special for your kids and for you, adults
Mm-hmm.
included. It's good for adults too.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I think, especially, having grown up Novus Ordo, what's interesting is that, you know, we would celebrate these things, but from a very worldly perspective, like taking Christmas, for example, we would set up a nativity scene and we would go to Christmas mass and we would do kind of like those basic things, but that wasn't the highlight of the
Mhm.
Christmas time. It was the presents. It was
Right.
the all of the secular Christmas movies that we would watch, and it was the Christmas parties where there was nothing about the faith really mentioned, and like those are the memories. But that's such a good point for now our children to create those memories, but centered around the faith. I love that.
Exactly. Right. No, I think it's so good. And I think it's just really helpful, like you said, to really try and do the feasts and the fasts. And like the
Mm-hmm.
feasts are so much better when you have done the fasts. And just
Mm-hmm.
like with everything, there's not the Easter without the cross, it's like the time of suffering, but the time of joy. And I think if you can recreate that in your home, it's really special.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So really quick, I wanted to mention this other book, and you might have read it also, but I think I saw it on that. I don't know if this is backwards, but it's called
Oh yeah.
Simple Secrets to a Beautiful Home. And I think it's by Emily Barnes. But
Mm-hmm.
it's one that I found from this blog that's called Finer Femininity. I hope I'm saying that
Oh,
right.
I've heard of them.
It's a
Yeah.
really
Mm-hmm.
great blog. They have a bunch of
Mm-hmm.
good Catholic, and it's mostly geared towards moms. So they have a lot of really good advice and resources and books and all that. But I found that from that blog, and it's really good. Like, I'll just read the first little uh, section. Like, it's really short, but I'll just read it. It's just, um, welcome home. That's what I want my life to say to everyone whose path crosses mine. I want to create an atmosphere of serenity and joy, of blessing and belongings that embraces people and draws them in, an atmosphere that makes me feel loved and special and cared for. And yeah, I just thought that that was just well said. It's kind of, a great goal to strive for.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Absolutely. I think as mothers and wives and homemakers, I think that's kind of also a huge uh, part of our responsibility, duty, part of our vocation is to create that atmosphere of peace within our homes. So that way our families have the proper environment to just grow, in their faith and just intellectually in their personhood, like with our children, and to create a warm atmosphere for our husbands to come home in, um, and I think that's again one of those things that you do kind of see a lot of secular women trying to also do, like create a nice cozy atmosphere. But there's a difference between creating just a cozy atmosphere with candles and cookies or whatever, and creating a peaceful, holy atmosphere.
Right.
You can have those candles and cookies and tea, whatever, but creating a peaceful space takes a lot more sacrifice and work, and faith.
Yes,
plain
right,
plain and
exactly.
simple.
Right. Because I mean, that those aesthetics mean nothing if you're blowing up at your kids every 5 minutes
Right.
and can't have patience and your kids are, I mean, all kids fight, but like if there's just
Mm-hmm.
this quarreling and I mean, it's not peaceful. Like you can have the candles and like the tea and the cookies, but like if you have that and you don't have God, it's not really
Mm-hmm.
a peaceful home. It just looks nice, it smells
Right.
good, it looks nice, but you don't have that warmth and that peace like in the actual home.
Exactly.
So I
Mm-hmm.
I feel bad that I haven't asked this yet, but how many kids do you have?
Only two right now.
Okay, that's what I thought, but I just wanted
Yeah.
to make sure because I thought you'd mentioned like your two boys. So
Mm-hmm.
that's good.
Yeah. So we have a 2.5-year old and an 8-month old, both boys.
Okay. Okay, that's awesome. Well, and I think it's so
Yep.
great that you're starting all this when they're so young because it can only build and grow and you can learn more and try more and I think it's great
Mm-hmm.
that you have this foundation to start.
Thank you. Thanks. Yeah, and I really just wanted to, come on here to kind of share my story and my experience and to encourage any other women who are in a kind of a similar area of coming from something else besides the traditional Catholic faith and trying to figure out what does that look like now as a wife and a mother and a homemaker. Because it really takes a lot of learning,
Right.
and because it's like I've mentioned, it's completely different than what I grew up with as a Novus Ordo, or if you're coming from any other background, it's completely different. So it takes a lot of learning, and it can be overwhelming at times and intimidating, especially if you live in an area that doesn't have a super vibrant community. Like we are so blessed where we are. Our chapel is just growing. Just every week, I feel like there's a new family there, which is so encouraging. Um, but some people don't have that. So, just I want to encourage other women to constantly, reach out, strive to grow in your homemaking, and read books and listen to the Catholic Family podcast, and um,
Good start.
try to yeah try to seek the insight of people who have been there and who've done it. So honestly, I know for me, a lot of the videos from the Catholic Family podcast have been very helpful. Pretty much every video that your mom does, I'm like, oh, what did she do?
Right.
Because
She
she
does
just
the
has
best.
so much
Right.
wisdom
Mhm.
for things with children, and so it's been really helpful. So
That's really good
yeah.
to hear. No, and I say this a lot, but I'm totally spoiled because I had all of that growing up. So I think
Mm-hmm.
sometimes like, man, I wonder how I would be doing if I wasn't growing up with that like kind of perfect Catholic home, but it was
Mm-hmm.
great. And I do like I feel kind of bad for people who didn't have that because I'm sure it is like starting from scratch, you kind of have to
Mm-hmm.
figure out how you're going to raise your kids as opposed to like how you were raised, it's
Mm-hmm.
almost like a counterculture. So it's true what you said too, like asking people who have been there and who know what
Mm-hmm.
they're doing and who lived good Catholic lives and raised good Catholic kids,
Mm-hmm.
just to get their advice and input and so you're not really starting, well, you're still starting from scratch, but at least you have that advice that
Right.
helps.
Exactly. Exactly.
Awesome. Well, is there any final words or any last thoughts that you had to kind of wrap things up?
Um, I would just say to just, you know, oh, I think what I would say is I think it's so easy as mothers, especially, to focus on everyone, serving everyone else in our family, serving our husbands and our children. It's easy to put our own needs to the wayside. But I've recently been realizing, I really need to work on bettering myself, and I need to, figure out where it is I need to grow in virtue, and where I need to grow spiritually, because it's, you know, we can't give what we don't have.
Right.
Um,
Can't
so
pour
I
from
need to
an
be
empty cup.
right. So I need to make sure I'm taking the time for prayer, spiritual reading, because it's only right through my growth spiritually that I'm able to help my children grow.
Right.
So I think that's what I would close with.
That is well said, right? And I want to do a podcast eventually on like true self-care, like what real
Yes,
self-care means and like how moms can apply it, because like you said, I think if we don't have anything to give, we're just not fulfilling our vocation to what it could be. And if we're suffering, then our kids suffer and our husband suffers. So that's
absolutely.
great words of wisdom. Take care of yourself so that you can take care of everyone else.
Right. Exactly.
Right. Great. Well, thank you so much. It's been an absolute pleasure. And I feel like I've gained a lot from our conversation. I hope others have too. But yeah, hopefully we'll have you on again. It's been great.
Oh, thanks, Michelle.
Yeah, thank you again. And God bless you.
Thanks, you too.
Bye.
Bye.